Alright, so we are back with another Netflix original movie review for The Man from Toronto, directed by Patrick Hughes, who also directed the Hitman Bodyguard movies, which I haven't really seen yet, but after watching this movie, I might want to go back and watch those because The Man from Toronto, I actually sort of enjoyed. It stars Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson, and it's a story about Kevin Hart, who plays his character, and he stumbles upon a situation that is much bigger than himself and a lot more dangerous than anything he'd ever expect to get into, as he's mistaken with the identity of the man from Toronto who was a hitman who was actually played by Woody Harrelson's character. So this is a fun action comedy as you'd expect from someone who directed the Hitman Bodyguard movies. And going into this movie, I sort of expected what we've sort of gotten so far from these Netflix originals, a very formulaic sort of like Netflix feel, and this movie's different from that. It feels more of a blockbuster type action comedy than a Netflix original. I haven't seen Hustle yet from Adam Sandler, but the last couple Netflix original movies that I've seen so far, I haven't really enjoyed them. They feel very middle of the pack, very mid, very something that you see in the top 10 for a week or two, and then they just sort of get forgotten, right? For this movie, it could easily go that route, depending on what kind of comedy you like, or if you like action comedies, or what you want from those type of movies. But for this one, I actually thought it was really funny. Kevin Hart, he's a sort of a hit or miss for me. Sometimes I like his movies, and sometimes I don't. For this one, the comedy just worked for me. I don't know if it's because I just watched Loot on Apple TV, and that was horrendous comedy. That seeing something like this, where it's like maybe these jokes are sort of basic or cliche or something we've seen before, but it was a lot better from what I just saw. So honestly, anything probably could have made me laugh. But I honestly just had a lot of fun with these characters, especially Kevin Hart. He knocks it out of the park in this movie. He's just funny, and it's really, comedy's very subjective. You know, some people have a certain sense of humor that is either dark or silly, or, you know, some people have different sense of humor about other things, you know, so it's very subjective sort of thing depending on what you like. So going into this movie, if you've seen other Kevin Hart movies and you've liked him, then you'll probably like this movie, I think. And then Woody Harrelson, he plays your typical Woody Harrelson sort of stoic, silent hitman type of role who also has like a soft heart. That's why the comedy sort of comes into play. But just seeing Kevin Hart walk into this situation where he's mistaken for a hitman, so he has to interrogate all these types of people, it was just actually hilarious. Like, I found myself actually generally laughing out loud, which doesn't really happen to me too many times. A lot of the comedies that I love are sort of like old school comedies, sort of like Adam Sandler comedies or Jim Carrey comedies that I've grown up watching, and those are my favorite comedies. To get a real genuine laugh from me nowadays, it's a little bit harder. So when I found myself actually laughing at this movie, I think that goes a long way. I thought it was hilarious. Even the banter between Kevin Hart and this other character named Santoro, who's like this bodyguard who's hired to look after his wife. Kevin Hart just plays it really well, how he's jealous of like this good-looking man. He doesn't want to near his wife. Just a very funny sort of banter between them that I enjoyed. On a technical level, there's some iffy spots in terms of editing and direction, especially towards the end, that I'll get into. And the acting is fine. I think this isn't anything that's fresh or new in terms of the film. Like this, it's a sort of a buddy action comedy. Like the first half is sort of like an identity thief, sort of fresh take on action comedy. But then in the second half, it turns into like this buddy thing, which is something that we've seen, you know, how many times before in action comedies. And you know, Kevin Hart is Kevin Hart. You know, like he plays the sort of the same role in every movie, right? He's loud. He does his own routine that he usually does, and you either like it or you don't. Woody Harrelson, this is no role that we haven't seen him do before. Like I said, that quiet sort of type. Woody Harrelson plays it pretty well. So overall, I'd say for most of the film, I was having a great time with it. I even watched it, you know, it's late at night right now, and so I was tired watching it, so the fact that the movie had me able to keep my interest throughout the duration, had a couple laughs out of me. I was surprised by that. Like I said, I went into it not really expecting much. My only like real problems come at the end, where I feel like it does drag on for a little bit too long. It felt like they didn't know like when they actually wanted to end the movie. But I will say that the best action scene in the movie does come at the very end. Sort of reminds me of the Kingsman one take scene in the church. See what they were trying to do that with this action scene, except you can tell that it wasn't one take. So it does feel like clunky editing and clunky direction. But it was still fun, even though it does feel clunky and the CGI is very blatant. It felt like out of nowhere, they just maybe like got lazy in terms of like wrapping up the film, in terms of like even the writing, the editing, and direction. It felt very lazy towards the end. I wish they should have ended it maybe like 10 minutes earlier. But overall, I would say my rating for this movie is a 3.4 out of 5. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. It feels like a much better Netflix original than what we've gotten, at least in terms of like this category of a movie. We just got Spiderhead, which just came out, starring Chris Hemsworth and Miles Teller. I should have a review on that. The Interceptor, which was god awful. And then I'm thinking back of the other ones like Project Power, obviously like Bird Box and all those, and I still have to see Hustle, like I said. So with these Netflix movies, you expect middle of the pack. I think this one's a little bit better than middle of the pack. It was something I actually enjoyed. And if you're a fan of these action comedies, if you're a fan of the Hitman Bodyguard movies, which I haven't seen yet, so I can't say my opinion on, I think you should find this movie very amusing, very delightful comedy. There's a couple of other elements that I liked as well in terms of Woody Harrelson's character. Like I say, it's like that soft heart sort of thing. And that was like pretty funny to see his character have that. The action in general for like the whole movie wasn't anything I would say cool or exciting. It really was like my favorite aspect of the movie was Kevin Hart and him just doing his own thing and making me laugh. And for some reason, it just worked for me today. Some days it doesn't with him, some days it does. Today the stars have aligned and I just happen to enjoy it. So if you guys have already seen The Man from Toronto, comment down below what you guys think of it. If you plan on watching it, let me know. And if you guys enjoy this review, please make sure to like it. Please subscribe if you're new as we keep up with all the new movies and TV shows. And that's all I got for you for today. So if you guys enjoy this review, like I said, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a great rest of the day.